Usually at my shows, I'll say I have 10 sisters and 8 brothers.
Holy shit, that is a lot, though, regardless. Gotcha. Now, hold on. Before we go further, is that same parents?
No. So my parents are white, so they had 12 of their own, and they adopted 7 of us. Still, 12 is a lot.
Okay. In the 80s and 90s, that's a lot of kids. This isn't the fucking 40s or 50s here.
No, it was a lot of kids.
God, that's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah. We were the Duggars before the Duggars.
Thank you for tuning into the FloBro Show, presented by FLOrigins.
We love Jesse Daniels! We love Jesse Daniels!
I know rain makes a cornfield grow. I know music comes out of my radio. I don't know how it works, but man, I know it does.
Welcome to the FloBro Show. We've got JD with FLOrigins, Aaron with Your Florida Guy, Blake with Natural Born Filmmaker, and we have Jesse Daniels in the studio. He is a country singer, songwriter, Nashville recording artist, and a local Florida cowboy, and he just released his first single, It Does, and he's going to play it for us later in the podcast, so stay tuned.
So you were born and raised in Florida.
Yeah.
What part of Florida did you grow up in?
Mayaca City.
Mayaca City.
Yeah.
So you've been there quite a while.
Yeah, my parents still live out there, but I recently had to move, so I'm kind of more in the city, per se, but I'll always be from Mayaca.
Yeah, it's hard to take that out of you.
Yeah.
And which is also good that you're close to the city. It also enhances your music career because you got easy access to a lot of gigs and shows and seeing what the other artists are doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
So you come from a large family.
Yeah. Usually at my shows, I'll give them a story of my origin. I'll say I have 10 sisters and 8 brothers.
So
Holy shit, that is a lot, though, regardless. Gotcha.
So how about
Now, hold on. Before we go further, is that same parents?
No. So my parents are white. So they had 12 of their own, and they adopted 7 of us. Still, 12 is a lot.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot for being, in your 30s?
Yeah.
So growing up in the 80s and 90s, that's a lot of kids. This isn't the fucking 40s or 50s here.
No, it was a lot of kids.
God, that's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah. We were the Duggars before the Duggars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But good for you for making it. I mean, from where you're at, I mean, that's awesome. I just can't believe that. Hang on. I haven't heard that many kids since my grandparents' grandparents.
I think JD's stuck on that one.
I just assume when people meet me that it's written on my forehead because I've known people for like years and they don't know that I have that big of a family and they're like, what? I'm like, you know this.
Yeah.
Like, no, we don't. I'm like, oh, it's not written on my forehead. Sorry.
I didn't know that either.
You didn't know that?
I don't know if I've ever met any of your family, to
Probably
be honest.
not.
If they never came around,
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think I don't think I've ever met any of your family.
Yeah.
So I never knew that.
10 sisters and 8 brothers.
Wow, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up down the street. We have a family friend has 9 kids, and I grew up down the street from them, so I was like their 10th kid. Their dad loved that. Not really, but yeah, like we had a lot of fun. So I was used to hanging out with a family with a bunch of kids. That was like I always wanted to have a bunch of kids because of that. Because now I look at them now and they're almost all married and they almost all have kids.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest legacy. Like to see like a family picture of all of them.
Yeah.
I love those. You'll see them on Instagram too, like other families that have like multiple generations.
Yeah.
That's just so cool.
Do any of your other siblings have musical skills? I know you.
Growing up, my dad played guitar. And I remember we would all sit in the living room and just listen to him play.
Yeah.
So I would say probably 85% of us can sing and play guitar and or piano.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
So
kind of
that,
music?
I think it's kind of funny that you come from a family that's so large that you use percentage instead of
Yeah, I know. It's like,
instead of amount, instead of amount of
it's
people.
easier to do per percentage.
Yeah. So what kind of
A
music did
percentage
he
of the
play?
population.
Do you recall anything from your childhood that kind of stood out to get to where you're at with the genre that you play?
It was all just older. I would say probably older Southern rock, like Southern rock Christian stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So it wasn't like Skinner or Molly Hatch or anything like that. It was
I wish I would have. I could remember some of the artists that he would listen to, but they were like 70s.
Yeah.
The Sparks actually was a group he would sing a lot.
Yeah.
But at the time, there wasn't as many kids.
Yeah.
So I remember asking my dad, I was like, I want to learn how to play guitar. And he said, I'll teach you 3 chords and you can play pretty much any song in the world. And that was it. And he's like, all right, there you go. Because he only knew a few chords.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother bought me a book because there was no YouTube then. Yeah. I'm older than YouTube. I'm older than Facebook and all that stuff. So there was no YouTube. So my grandmother bought me a guitar book.
The tab books. Yeah.
Of all the
those
pictures of the chords. Mm-hmm. And I just learned the chords. There was no like, oh, this is how you strum. And I just figured it out and just took off running from there.
That's great.
Yeah, self-taught.
So like where in the age range of these children do you fit in?
I'm number 6.
Number 6. Okay.
I'm the first kid they adopted, 3rd kid they had, but number 6 in age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was actually like just thinking, I was talking to my wife the other day, kind of going back on like how long we've known each other. And, you know, I had it narrowed down to maybe 2006, but you'd mentioned a memory from way back in like church youth group, which might have been like the end of 2004.
It was early.
And that's like mind blowing to me because like in my memory, it feels like we've known each other like maybe 8-10 years, something like that.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's just crazy to think that how much time flies by and how long we've actually known each other. And like when you're like an adult and you can go like 5 years without seeing somebody and then you see them again and you're just kind of like, oh, hey, what's up? How you doing? Like whatever. And you just kind of pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
When you're a kid and you got to wait like 2 weeks to hang out with a friend, it's like, it feels like eternity. And it's like, it's just weird that like, as soon as you showed up, it felt like no time had passed since last time I saw you.
Yeah.
And I know you and Blake have known each other for a really long time. And,
so you guys know each other from church.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And that's where you got started, actually playing music, right? Like
music,
besides on your own, that's where you kind of played in front of a crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the first time I sang my first song, I was 8, and it was at Wednesday night prayer meeting, and it pretty much all started from there.
Yeah.
So
all the church hymns and all those, all that stuff is.
Oh yeah, we grew up watching Bill and Gloria Gaither. So really, my influences early on was like Baptist, Southern Baptist. We watched a lot of Bill and Gloria. That's where I learned to sing. I learned those songs. Those were the first songs I learned to sing growing up in church. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I remember my parents would just put us on stage, kid talent shows at church, and just singing on stage in church. And that's how it started. So here I am.
So was country music kind of a natural thing, just to kind of where you grew up at, like out there in the country, or was it something that you were gravitated towards where maybe the rest of your family wasn't? Or
no. So this is actually kind of interesting. I gotta be careful because my parents may listen to this and I'm gonna get in trouble. But so I was homeschooled my whole life, and growing up, I got my first job out of high school when I was 18. So I graduated. That's 2003. I got my first job. I wanted to be an electrician. So I got my first job being an electrician. So I was a new guy on the crew, and they all listened to country music. At that time, all I listened to was Christian music. Mm-hmm. Stephen Curtis Chapman, Wes King, all that stuff, which they had a huge part. Stephen Curtis Chapman is a huge part of me singing and playing guitar.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't really like care for country music because I wasn't really introduced to it. I just remember seeing all Garth Brooks. I'm like, Garth Brooks, so evil. Yeah. And so I was the new guy on the crew. They listened to country music, and I was like, I have to either learn to love this stuff because I gotta listen to it for 8 hours, or I gotta learn to block it out. Mm-hmm. Well, I learned to love it. I started really liking it, and the first guy I really got into was Chris Cagle. Mm-hmm. I remember I bought his Chicks Dig It album. And I had a geo-tracker, and my dad found out and ripped my radio out of my geo-tracker.
Oh, man.
And I bought another one, bought the CD again, and just took off from there. And it just turned into that's all I listened to was country music. So I grew up late 90s, early 2000s country music, Brad Paisley, Keith Urban, Rascal Flatts, all those guys.
So do you think is that your favorite era of country music?
Yeah, favorite era of country music.
Late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. I kind of grew up with the Alan Jackson, Garth Brooks, old Toby Keith stuff.
Yeah.
I like that 90s country.
Yeah, that's what I'm into too. You know, it's funny because we have a lot of similarities, aside from looking so much alike.
Yeah, exactly.
We both graduated in 2003.
Wait, are we the same age?
Yeah, I just
Are you
figured
85?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. So
And you guys have the same size head.
we both have giant, large hats.
I'm pretty sure you guys are twins.
I know.
You know what? I heard about I was
guys should do a
separated from
DNA
birth
test.
with a twin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys should do a DNA test.
And so then I got into doing electrical work. I grew up listening to old hip hop music. Like I grew up on one side of town where everybody listened to rap and hip hop and got into all that other stuff. And in our intro episode, I talked about how I confessed some things that my parents would probably listen to as well, where I took their old worship tapes and put Scotch tape on it, and I would record like DMX and all these people from the radio onto their worship tape. So I guess if we're confessing stuff from our childhood here, that's kind of one of the ones I got. But
we're like a real life Jacob and Esau type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And and I kind of like as I got older, same thing. I got into doing electrical work on job sites. Country was everywhere, and it wasn't that I disliked it. It was just that I wasn't really into it. And, you know, so at first I was kind of trying to play like Mr. Little Thug Kid because like I thought I was when I was younger and all that stuff. And then as I got work on these job sites, I'd pretend like, man, come on, can we listen to something else? But then I'd be working in a room and find myself just kind of like, it's not that bad or whatever, to where I'd be in my car and I'd start switching over to country stations. And then I moved out to Mayaca in the late 90s and lived out there for a while. And that's when I just basically, once I was out there, it was kind of like a whole new element, whole new world. Everybody out there listened to it. And it was almost like I was able to come out to my friends as like, I enjoy country music.
That's so funny.
That was my moment of being like, I like country music, guys.
I had my coming out moment too.
I know. Yeah. And it felt so good to finally get the truth out there and tell them I do enjoy country music. And same thing. It was the Alan Jackson stuff and a lot of that older stuff.
I think that music that you grew up listening to, that we pretty much all grew up listening to, at first it's an acquired taste, but it's catchy.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot catchier than what is coming out now. I think it's more authentic, more original. There's more soul and heart behind it. There's maybe even more talent.
Yeah,
they didn't have all the auto tune and all this silly stuff that they have now to kind of perfect. Their art. It was raw.
Well, even then they didn't all have perfect voices either.
Exactly.
Like you hear some of these old like Hank Williams Jr. and a lot of these people. They weren't pitch perfect singers and all that either. So it was just you're getting real music and you're getting real stuff. And like I know. Chattahoochee was the song that really sucked me in. That one really got me. Once I started hearing that one, I was like, I found myself listening to that one over and over. And then
that's a good one.
Kind of from there, I got into Alan Jackson, and then I just kind of branched out from there. But
mine was Soul, John Michael Montgomery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I had that CD.
It was almost like a rap. I was like, I gotta learn this because the words were so quick.
Yeah.
I felt like I was rapping.
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember like the Rascal Flatts, that Life is a Highway, and all that. It was very catchy in the early 2000s. It's mildly different than the 90s stuff. So it was like it was evolving as we were in high school, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was kind of blessed to kind of see that transition from what we would consider now old school country to, what we grew up listening to in the 2000s. It was nice to kind of have that, taste of both kind of different flavors of country music, because the stuff out now is great, but I mean that stuff back then's better.
What's funny is like within the last, I would say 2 years, I've finally admitted that I am also a Conway Twitty fan. Which I know Family Guy like makes fun of him and they're like, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty or whatever. But I'm like, when they play these clips, I'm just kind of like, I actually like this song. And like it was kind of like one of those things where finally I'm like, you know what? I'm going all in, man. I like country music and I like every bit of it. And
so you had mentioned you're coming out when you're coming out.
Yeah.
So what was mine, I remember when I'd moved out and I worked up the courage to go to the local honky tonk.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is big for me. But like it was funny because it changed from like I would wear jeans and then I wore Converse and then I wore a t-shirt and a hat and a belt, and it slowly bought my first pair of boots.
Yep.
And then I still wore a ball cap. And then it turned into, it finally got my first cowboy hat.
Yep.
And then it like rapidly over time evolved. I evolved from like Converse to boots and a hat and a belt buckle.
Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't gone as far as the cowboy hat. I had a pair of boots when I was younger, but that was like a size 11. I'm a 13 now, so I'm back to the sneakers. But
man.
you know, I did wear my Texas Fort Worth, Texas handcrafted belt buckle for you today.
Blake Zimmerman wears Air Force Ones.
Yeah. So
What is your preferred brand of kickers?
Ariat.
I had the same ones. Square toe. I got some of the
Square-
work hog too.
it's a
Work
square
hogs.
toed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are very comfortable.
Very comfortable. I have
Beautifully crafted.
my favorite pair of boots, Ariats. First pair I ever bought. I've had them for 12 years and I still wear them today.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to Nashville, the sole came off of the heel because I wore it so much. And I went to a shoe store guy and I said, hey, listen,
Got to
my
fix
favorite
this.
boots, I'm leaving in a week.
Yeah.
Can you? He's like, I got you.
Yeah.
And he moved me up and fixed them. And
Yeah.
Super glue.
I still wear them, yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, they actually use nails because mine actually
snap.
Screws.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine have a rubber heel, but
Yeah.
it's a square toe, but everything from there forward to
Right.
the tip is
Yeah.
leather.
Yeah.
So like when you first wear them and you walk on carpet, you're sliding around. You got to break them in
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
rough up that leather
Yeah.
in order to walk on surfaces and
Yeah.
not slip.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an adjustment period.
Even
yeah.
for line dancing, I have 2 other pair of boots, but I haven't broken them in because even with line dance, you got to break them in to where they
yeah.
slide on the
Yep.
on the dance floor and stuff, and they're comfortable. I've tried to wear them a couple times, but I get like blisters on my toes.
Do you ever rock your boot shotgun? You know what that is? Where you just have them like this and you have it kind of hanging over. Where it's
No,
not
I
over,
know.
Where it's not over the. It's called shotgunning.
Yeah, I haven't. I can't make myself do that.
Yeah, it's a little. I don't know. I used to do it after 10, 12 beers in, but after
Yeah.
it's not that classy out in public, I guess.
So I don't think you guys know this, but I met my wife line dancing at White Buffalo.
Really?
Yeah, that's how we met. And I I always tell people like they look at me now and I'm kind of like a country boy, living on a farm, driving a truck, living that lifestyle. But if you hop in my truck and listen to what I'm listening to, it's I get pumped up with some bro country. That's just like I can do some old school country, but honestly, that's my wife. My wife, I didn't really enjoy that type of country, 90s country or anything until I met my wife. But the first time I bought my boots was with when we were dating. She took me to go boot shopping out in Arcadia, and I got a cowboy hat at the same time, and she really made me a country boy. So shout out.
Shout out.
That actually
Shout out to her.
Whoop, whoop.
That
Made
reminds
me
me
that country
too.
boy. Good old country boy.
That just reminded me too. We met in the same church youth group where my wife and I met.
Yeah.
Same
I
church.
just bring people together. That's what I do.
You create
I do.
marriages.
I create marriages. and
long-lasting
all that
marriages.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, you're like Hitch.
When you play shows live, you do a great deal of cover songs, obviously stuff from the eras that we're talking about. What's some of the older songs that you play? Do you play anything from like Hank Williams, like Bo Cephas, anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I started, I just started with what I knew, and I slowly started learning the slow stuff. So I do a little Hank. I do some.
When they get drunk, they start requesting stuff.
Oh yeah.
Play Freebird.
So it's like
I always say at my shows, I was like $500, and I would play you.
that is a extremely difficult song. Now as a guitarist, I mean, there's 2 guitar players in that band. There's no way he's going to be able to do his part on acoustic guitar. It's
really.
extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But that's the number one that everybody gets drunk and shouts out. I would imagine
Yeah.
Freebird.
Yeah.
It's just
So I don't play Freebird.
What was the first song that you remember, country song, playing live in front of a crowd? What was your first live performing experience like?
Oh man, it was at. Oh man, so you want to know the very first song or where I played?
I guess probably just, I guess maybe your first live experience, like what it was like performing live.
Intimidated. Well, because I was a worship leader, for a very long time, and it was it was interesting because I was so used to singing worship songs, and I felt like I'm singing about drinking and all that other stuff. But it was Brooks and Dunn, Red Dirt Road, some Keith Urban. This is before Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen were even a thing, so it yeah, it was a lot of Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of Big and Rich.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of Tim McGraw, a lot of Brad Paisley. Yeah, those were, it was, I remember my first gig and my team, we laugh about it now. And I was like, yeah, I'll play. But I didn't realize it was like 3 hours. I didn't have 3 hours of content.
Oh, no.
So I had like maybe an hour. So I would get to the end of it and I would start all over again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would get to it and I would start all over again. And I remember the lady, she was like, listen, you got to learn more songs. You're great, but you got to learn more songs. And she's one of those ladies you appreciate. She's stern, like, no, like, just she doesn't take no crap, but she's like, you need to do this if you're going to get better. So, yeah, it was a lot of like the same 30 songs for a long time.
Yeah.
A very long time. Yeah.
And was that something you always intended on doing? Was trying to be a live performer, or was that something you just kind of did as a hobby, or was it always a dream to kind of make it to the big times? And
so it definitely started out as a hobby. I never thought I'd get this far, but when I had the realization, I was like, oh, I can do this. I'm pretty good. I can do this.
Yeah.
It kind of turned, and then when I learned I can make money doing this, like, what? So the first time I played it was for free. They didn't pay me any money. But when I learned that I can do it for free, it turned into a hobby / income, like help out with my income. And it was, I've been doing it for like 2.5, 3 years now. And now I'm at the point where it's just all I do, a full-time musician now. So, it's definitely been a wild ride.
Well, you know you're good when you can start doing it full time.
Yeah.
You know you're getting somewhere. You can feel it in your heart. Like, it's time to make that transition to put all our effort into this.
Yeah. It was, I've been wanting to do so being an electrician for probably like the last 6 months, working full time and gigging on the weekends, my candle was being burned at both ends. And I knew it was time to make that switch. But going on your own and not having that security for a solid income, like you know what you're getting, it was scary. And I needed to do it for 6 months. I knew I was milking the tit. I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then finally, I think life was like, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. You're fired. Well, he didn't say you're fired. He just said, we got to let you go because it was slow. So he didn't say, he said, we got to let you go. He didn't, it wasn't Donald Trump, you're fired.
But you had a backup plan, which was nice. I mean, that kind of happened for a reason, if you think about it.
I felt like my manager, everybody was like, I think it's time. I was like, no, it's not time. Crazy. It's not time. But I think life was like, all right, if you're not going to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, they give you a little shove.
Let's transition. So it's been fun.
Yeah. It's funny how sometimes life makes those tough decisions for you, where you're debating it already, but then life's like, well, all right, well, here you go. I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. You know, go for it kind of thing. And so,
do you play any new country, like any of the new Morgan Wallen, any of the new anything?
So I'm a big Luke Combs fan.
Oh yeah, good.
So I play a lot of Luke Combs. Just starting to learn a lot of Morgan Wallen songs. I feel Morgan Wallen songs are really wordy. A lot, like, to sing them, they're really wordy, and it's not really complicated. They're simple, but it's the lyrics and the timing and stuff. So I'm starting to learn a little bit more Morgan Wallen stuff. But I'm so when people ask me what I play, I say I play anything from Tim McGraw to Luke Combs.
There you go.
But mainly more late 90s, early 2000s stuff with a big sprinkle of Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen.
What about Chris Stapleton?
Yeah, a little bit Chris Stapleton. Yeah,
you do the traditional Zach Brown catchy stuff.
Do the I call Chicken Fried. I think is America's song. So I do Chicken Fried. Do a little bit of Zach Brown stuff. Let's see. You know what? I don't really do a lot of is Alan Jackson. I don't know why. I just haven't gotten his stuff. I have a list. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
So
I think for probably maybe a lot of the generation that you're playing for is maybe a little bit younger, because when you get 35, 40, you're not out there partying at the Dallas Bowl all the time and doing these certain things. So your younger crowd loves Alan Jackson, but they want to hear Morgan Wallen. I think that maybe. So
this is what I realized. I realized a lot of people that started following me and showing up to my shows were 30s, 40s, 50s.
Okay.
Because I would sing early 2000s, and they would all come up like, you're singing the country music that I started listening to. And then I realized, all right, well, it's great, but I want to get a little bit of younger crowd. So Luke Combs is great, but you got to sing the Morgan Wallens.
Yeah,
you got to sing Blake Zimmerman. You got to sing all these newer guys. So, and the older I get, it's more difficult. I used to be able to learn a song like that when I was younger, but now the older I get, the harder it is for me to sit down and actually learn a song, like remember the lyrics and all this other stuff. So,
well, that and the styles change, and it's like, so if you get used to playing that like 90s, early 2000s country, the style is different now. Everything is different about it. So you're not just learning a new song, you're kind of learning a whole new style to go along with it. Do you ever get, like, one thing I was kind of curious about, if you're used to playing that certain genre, like that certain decade of music or 2 decades of music, when you do come out and you play a new song like Morgan Wallen or something like that, do you ever have any of the older crowd saying that you're selling out, or saying like, you know, you're just pandering to the younger crowd, or is everybody pretty open to just whatever?
No, everybody's pretty open because I sing, because my core songs that I sing is 2000s, late 90s. And so I do a little sprinkle of the new stuff. I realized I needed to do the new stuff because when I go to bars, a lot of people that in there are younger. They listen to the Luke Combs, the Morgan Wallens and stuff. They know, like you said, they know all the old stuff, but that's not what they're growing up listening to.
Yeah.
So if I want to expand the people in my following, I have to learn all that stuff. So.
Right. And we were talking a little bit during dinner about how over time you've kind of gotten more comfortable and you've transitioned more into being able to feel the crowd, and whether it's families, more of the bar scene, more like the farmer's market type scene. What is it that kind of like really clicked in your head when it came to actually being able to feel out the crowd like that? Like, what was it when you kind of realized, like, what was the first show where you're like, this song set is not going to work in this crowd? And what's kind of your process in that situation?
When I started singing at the farmers markets.
Yeah.
And any show where I started seeing a lot of kids, a lot of families with young kids, basically anything farmers market. And restaurants like barbecue joints, when people coming in and sitting down with the families and having to eat. Like, because when you're eating, you don't want to hear all the cussing and swearing and stuff like that. So there are songs that are appropriate for that. And like the other day, I sang Shabuzi for the very first time. And I knew it was appropriate.
Yeah.
But the day before, on Friday, I was doing a show out on Siesta Key, and I wanted to sing it. I learned it, but I was like, nah, this isn't
the crowd.
This is it. Yeah. So you gotta learn So I started understanding, and it's also helped for me to learn to interact, because I'm naturally a shy person. Like, I can sing in front of thousands. I've done the American Idol stuff. I can sing in front of 1,000 people. You get me talking, and it's over. I can't talk in front of. Well, there's 4 of us in here, so maybe 5 people. It's like, no, I can't do it.
So we're maxed out. Like,
yeah,
right
we're
here.
maxed out.
This is the limit.
This is the limit. So I knew to get better, I need to learn to interact and talk. And so that's where but to do that, I have to learn to read the crowd.
Yeah.
When I interact, see what their response is, and it's like a ping pong game. Like, if I'm going to say something, they interact. Okay, now I got to say something else. Crap, now I got to talk more.
Right.
And then I started just sharing about myself, because I'd be like, I don't know what to talk about. And so my manager was like, well, just be original, talk about yourself. People want to hear your story.
Yeah.
And so I just started sharing my story and how I got into country music, and my origin story.
Yeah.
So you just dropped your first single.
Yeah.
It's live. It does.
Yeah.
Is what it's called.
It does.
Tell us about that journey. You know, songwriting, releasing your first single, just that
recording in Nashville.
Yeah, recording in Nashville.
That's pretty big,
that was
man.
huge. That's huge.
Yeah. So that's when being a natural singer that I am, I've always dreamed of singing. Like I said, I did the American Idol thing twice. Never worked out, obviously, because I'm here. But I've had dream, like I would sit there and watch American Idol, and I'm like, I can sing like those guys. I know I'm good enough. Not trying to boast, but I believed in myself enough to I can do that. So when I started gigging, and I really started realizing, I can make money, I can do this, and be an entertainer, and learn to sing and interact. That was my goal. I wanted to like record in Nashville. And it was a 2.5, 3 year journey. I started gigging, and I started saving all my gigging money and putting away money. And I didn't know how much it was going to cost. I just started putting away money. And I started just like writing. I don't consider myself a writer. I just like, I gotta write. And a lot of my songs sounded like they would be on a kid's show or like Barney. You know, they just seem to go back to like, I love you, you love me. And but I just got to get better. I remember some guitarist was like, you just gotta write every day. Just write 5 minutes. Just write, because the more you do it, the more you're gonna work out that muscle. So fast forward to now, I was able to go to Nashville and record an EP of 4 songs, and It Does is one of my favorites, and that's the one we decided to put out. It's my first single that dropped, so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I from the first time I heard it, the little clip of it, it's just been stuck in my head. Like,
you're not the only one.
I'm walking around the house everywhere. I'm even driving over here today. I'm just I'm just like, man, it's really catchy. Like, it's a really, really good catchy song, and it's got that good classic sound to it, and that feel, kind of from that era of country that I really enjoy, and it kind of brought me back to like that real, kind of down to the roots country, and that's what I think I really liked about it the most.
That was a song that was helped written for me, and I even sing it, and I'm like, I'm like, it's in my head. I'll get text messages or like people reach out on Instagram just because when leading up to dropping it, we just abused it on social media. Like, it was just that clip over and over again. And people were like, that song's stuck in my head. When are you gonna drop it? When are you gonna drop it? Can we get a sneak peek? Are you gonna play it at a show? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna play it at a show. It's like, the point is to get everybody to the to like want it,
getting out that free sample and getting hooked, kind of thing.
So I'm excited about it. It's definitely, and my kids were asking me all the time, and Dad, is your music on the radio yet? No, not yet. Why not? Chill out, dude. Like, come on. There's steps to this.
Yeah.
They just want to say it at school.
Dad.
My dad's on the radio. Your dad's not.
Well, it's funny. My daughter does that. She's 5.5, and she says, my daddy's on TV, because she sees us watching the podcast and the YouTube stuff and all that, or Instagram and TikTok. She sees all that, and she's like, my daddy's famous. People all over the world know who he is. And I'm like, which is true, but I mean, it might be one person in Brazil and like 3 people in Russia. So technically, she's right. People all over the world do know who I am.
If one person in every country knows
that's all it takes is one. So everybody in the world, every country in the world represented. But it's just kind of funny to think about it. And, you know, granted, it's mind blowing, because in total, I have 350 million total views, which, like, you know, me being like kind of just the creator, I want to be like, I got to get more. But when I think about how many freaking people that is, it's like, that's, even if half of those are bots and like all kinds of stuff, it's like, that's like an entire nation worth of people. And here I am, like, trying to be a creator, like trying to get to that next thing, and like just kind of almost forgetting about, like, that's kind of a cool thing. And it kind of reminds me of like going into Nashville. It's like you're going to the point now where you're going to be kind of exposed to the world. You're going to be like worldwide. You know, and I hope and pray for you that everything does go to the point where you're filling stadiums and all that. But what was it like traveling up there? Like, how long of a trip did it feel like when you're just anticipating it, like a kid waiting for Christmas?
The very first time I went up, and this was kind of before I knew I was gonna, no, that's a lie. I'd gone up to meet with a couple producers. Like, I had intent. I was like, all right, we're going to start this journey. So I went to Nashville. I was blown away. This is when I really got, like, the healthy confidence that I had, because I wasn't really confident myself. I was like, yeah, I'm just a guy from, whatever. I went to Nashville a year ago, last October, and almost a year ago. And just the amount of talent, there's a lot of talent there, I'm not going to lie. But just the amount of, everybody was so nice. Everybody, you know, I went in there and I sang at Tootsie's, and people were so nice. Other musicians were so nice. They weren't like trying to backstab you or like, oh, this guy. Just, there was no like competition. Everybody was so welcoming.
Right.
And I remember I sang at Tootsie's, and the very first guy that really talked to me, we're good friends today, and he played at my release album party, came down from Nashville. And he talked to me and he invited me to his show, and I was like, this guy we're having a conversation. He's telling me, I'm playing here, come play. And I was like, he hasn't even heard me sing yet. Like, what the heck's going on? Mm-hmm. And so he's one of my good buddies now. And it's just, that was the very first time. So when I left, I was on a high. I was like, I can do this. Like, I just hearing people's responses from a different market.
Right.
That's not here. It's not my hometown, you know? And I was like, I can do this. I am good enough. I wrote a song on the plane flying home. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. So then, and just going back now, the moment was so surreal because I was actually in a recording studio with talented musicians and being behind the microphone and in the studio room. And I cried. I'd gone up to lay down the tracks and I was just, these musicians didn't know me from Adam and they're like wanting to do the best job and like, hey, can we cut this? I want to do it better. I'm like, these guys don't know me from Adam and they just want to make sure they got their best, doing their best for some dude from Florida they don't even know, probably never going to see again.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I just started crying because I realized this is a dream come true with people that don't even know me, but they want to do their best for me.
Yeah.
And then going back to record the vocals for it with my team and everything was just so surreal. I was like, wow, this is a moment I've dreamt of for a very long time and it's actually coming true. And like the world is going to be able to hear my music. It was a very humbling experience, but also so surreal. I cried again. I'm not a crier, but I boo-hooed a lot on that trip.
I'd imagine it's very emotional, you know, working so hard and getting to that situation and you're finally there and you're like, I can't believe I made it. And also on top of it, the people there and like you said, people there and everybody was supporting you, no one was dogging you and acting like an a-hole and saying you ain't got it. And so that's great, man. That's great.
Yeah, it's
what about I'm going to ask about you said you were on American Idol. Did you make any connections? Did you meet any people? Did that have any influence on how you got to where you are now by just being on that or auditioning for it? I mean, or however your interaction was with
So when I did American Idol, I was still coming out. Like I went up and I was like, do I sing Brian McKnight or do I sing Keith Urban? Yeah. Well, I chickened out and I sang Brian McKnight the first time. And they're like, hey, great, but no. The second time I went up the next year, these were the last two times they came to Florida. It was Orlando and Jacksonville. Jacksonville and Orlando the second time. I was like, all right, I'm going to sing Keith Urban. Sang Keith Urban. They were like, hey, thanks, but no thanks. But overall, it was a great experience because I was around like thousands of people. The first time I went to American Idol, I waited 12 hours, 5 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. I sang for 20 seconds, and that was it.
Wow.
The third time, I waited 4 hours. I was in and out in less than like 5 hours. But that was more of just wanting to do it because I wanted to like, you know, they play these stories of like, oh, this is where I am. Everybody had a story.
Yeah,
you know?
where you came from.
And I was like, I got a good story that I have siblings, I have a family, we live in a house, we're not very rich. It's like, who wouldn't want to eat this up? That's really the reason why I did it. I was like, this story's gonna sell. But life had other plans. So I guess life was like, we're gonna take the long route. And I don't know where this route is gonna take me, but we're taking the long route. So
while you were there waiting, I'm sure you ran across some people you're like, you ain't gonna
all right, I'm gonna tell a story. I'm gonna tell a story. So the second,
what are you doing here?
The first time I went up, I took people with me. They didn't sing, but they went and supported me. My uncle lived in Jacksonville, so we got to stay at a place for free. We ate for free. It was great. The second time, I took a buddy of mine with me. People with me, my girlfriend and 2 other people. I took a buddy of mine who really can't sing. I mean, I love him to death, but he really can't sing. And I would tell him, I was like, dude, you're terrible. I was dogging him the whole time. I was like, you're gonna. So we're singing. We registered together. So we have the same number. So we go down. We're singing, and it's like 12 tables, and you're like this far from people, and like sing, and you're hearing all this stuff. He's right next to me. I sing my stuff. I'm like, all right, thanks, but you're not what I'm looking for. And then I hear him get done, and they're like, sing me another song. I'm like, this mother trucker. This mother trucker. I said, I swear, if he goes on to get the gold, I'm going to kick his butt. Yeah. But I was so mad.
You've been dogging him, and then he beat you.
I know. And he was like, the whole time I was singing, and in my head, I was like, dude, you're terrible.
Yeah.
Like, stop. And I get done, and like, sing me another one. And I'm like, this guy, I swear.
Now, at that moment when you're side by side with all these people, you know, when the show first came out, they would have some people on there that kind of just made a fool of themselves just for the hell of it. Now, would they they would audition and be like, yeah, you're kind of goofy. We might be able to get you on TV and get some. You made it just because we're gonna kind of not make you make it and kind of make fun of you when you get on TV type of thing.
The entertainment part.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. That
He
got some poor people's hopes up.
Well, at least you weren't one of them.
No,
So like, we're definitely giving this guy TV time.
Yeah.
But so that's good.
So when you would audition, was it just singing, or did you have the guitar also?
No, it's just
sing.
well. Then you couldn't bring an instrument with you.
Oh.
Now I think you can.
I think there's props now.
but now you can bring an instrument with you.
Yeah.
And that's how it was like early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
How many stages do you have to sing before the judges?
So that's, I think, 3.
Before you even get
So
to
when you sing for them, that's a callback like
it's a
6
totally,
months later.
Yeah, it's a totally different location. Everything.
So when you see Ryan Seacrest in there with the crowd, he was shooting all his stuff with us. So when they show it, it's actually Ryan Seacrest was with the crowd. That's like 6 months prior.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then when it was Simon and them, the originals, that was like callback at a different location at a hotel or something.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, it was a great experience though.
Yeah.
Met a lot of people, sang with a lot of people. Kind of remind me of The Office where Andy goes and sings. And it's like, yeah, I'm Casey Dane and all that stuff. It was kind of like that. Only I didn't meet Casey Dane, but you know.
Yeah. Did you? You didn't make it on?
No, I didn't
TV
make it.
or anything,
I didn't make it.
at
No.
any point?
No.
Oh, that's
No.
unfortunate.
I'm trying to figure. I don't even remember what year it was because I could tell you if I knew what year, I could tell you who was. I was. You know, that was the year that this person won. But after that, I kind of stopped watching American Idol. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I liked it at first because it was kind of like it seemed real, but just like most reality shows over time, everything is just so staged and so not real on these reality shows. So I kind of faded away from it too. But it was really interesting in the early years to watch that show, watching all these people just go out there and sing their heart out and seeing some people that you think are talented get buzzed out and seeing other people move on and not knowing why or how. And
Yeah.
You're visibly watching their heart break.
Yo, I know
on
it.
TV.
I know it.
They're like, you suck. And they're like,
Yeah.
my mom told
But
me
my
I'm
mom
good.
said-
Yes, my mom
Yeah.
told
My favorite thing is to watch the TikTok reruns.
Yes.
And watch Simon be like, "You're terrible."
You're
He's like,
terrible.
but my mom said, "No, you're not." And like watch his face.
yeah.
I remember one where he specifically said, "Your mother is a liar," and I was like, "Oh my god,
Oh man.
your mother lied to you your whole life." And it's like, "Oh man,
It's funny because he's like really nice.
yeah."
It's like they played him off like such a mean guy, but he's on the whatever talent, America's Got Talent,
Yeah,
and he's like usually the one that's going, yeah. And he's like not the negative one anymore.
Yeah.
He's flipped. Maybe he has kids.
He's
That's
got
what
a
happened.
rebound
He got
Probably.
kids.
Yeah. It's kids that did it.
Got to make up for the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to make up. He doesn't want to be the bad guy.
Now he just
anymore.
let everybody through. Yep, you're good. You're good. You're good. Trying to get some brownie points back in life.
So, how long of a period of time is your experience between recording and actually getting the song ready to release? Like, how long is that process?
It really depends.
Okay.
It really depends on what you're using it for. Because what I learned, a lot of people will do it, but it's like, hey, I just want to do this for family, and it's a Christmas present. Oh. But it just really depends on what. So when I went up, I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to get it out. And then I was like, when I found out we were going to do, I had a big show here, and I was going to use that for my release party. So then I was like, hey, this is what we want to do. We're going to do it by August. And he's like, all right, well, you should have it back in like, I got mine back in like 6 to 8 weeks. Everything. The 4 songs, I did a music video, photo shoot, all that stuff, got it back in like 6 to 8 weeks. So it really depends on what, if you tell them what you want to use it for and this is the timeline we want to do it, they will help you get it out.
Wow.
But a lot of people, my producer was like, he's worked with people that just do it for family and they have this whole box of CDs and they just turn into that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but they turn into that guy that's like, hey, here's my CD. And it's like, oh, yeah, I don't. Because they have a whole box of CDs and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
CDs,
That's
man, that was a long time ago. Now, you don't get
Are you
this
selling
on
CDs?
Yeah, is that still a thing?
Yeah,
An
that's a good
artist?
question. Is everything digital now?
Yeah,
Or do you
like,
still?
I mean, pretty much everything. You can do CDs if you want, but I want to do all like digital.
Yeah.
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 So since it was just an EP of like 4 songs, a lot of we did just little like thumbtacks. You just plug in your computer.
Right.
For the people who don't, you can still stream it, but people want to plug it in their computer and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Like the actual product that you don't have to put out just all these records and all these CDs and all these tapes, like the music industry as a whole, that's got to be so much simpler for the music industry.
I mean,
to not have
you
to
can still do CDs if you want.
I want a cassette tape. I want to specifically. Yeah, actually,
I think it depends on
I
your
don't have an 8-track player,
on your audience too. Like if you know your audience, because I know Tom McDonald, he does CDs. He'll sign CDs.
Oh yeah.
So it's like he's got a certain audience that's like, you know, underground almost. That's like, I'll buy a freaking CD. I want that.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
I love Tom McDonald.
Dude, he blew up during that time over the past 4 or 5 years, man.
Him and Dax.
Dax is good.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I like when you come across these different artists, you're like, oh, they got some sweet songs, they got some savage songs, they got some really like, you know, they got depth to them. They're smart, they're intelligent, people you'd want to talk to.
Yeah. Well, when I started, like, I learned that a lot of people are independent, so they have control of their own music.
Right.
And so that's the avenue I wanted to go down. I want to go down, have control over my music. I don't want to be like, oh, well, if we sign you, then you got to sing this and do this and dress this way and do that. I want to have control over what I sing and my own image and brand and stick to that. So, you know, I'm just focusing on, now that I've gone full-time musician, like I'm just focusing on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
So...
Well, it's a whole different world now with social media and all that stuff too.
You don't have to be signed by a unless you really want to. You can make your own content and get paid quite well for it. So
is that kind of becoming like basically that used to probably be the road less traveled was the independent route, but is that becoming more of a common thing in the music industry?
I feel like it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I used to think that indie meant like Indian. When they're like, "Oh, I'm an indie artist," I'm like, "Indie rock? How does that work?" Well, I mean,
you were homeschooled.
How does Indian country sound? But I didn't realize it meant like independent till like a couple years ago.
Until last year,
I was 39 years old when I realized indie meant independent, not like Indian rock. I'm like, how does music over in India work? Why do you choose that market? You're
really
American.
The funny thing is I did think that too because I'm in video, and so when they'd be like, "Oh, indie film," I'm like, "Indie film." Like,
indie film. That's where I first heard it too.
That's like a weird film, and I was like, "Oh my god."
So I was homeschooled.
You know, actually, so that was another similarity. I was homeschooled also.
Where'd you guys go to school? You go to school together?
Yeah, we were homeschooled. Did you have same school? We had the same teacher. Mom was our teacher.
I knew it.
That was another similarity I was going to make. Yeah, we both graduated. We were both homeschooled. Both lived in Mayaca.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Striking resemblance, like I mentioned. And it's just fun. Big heads.
Yeah.
I'm 7 and 7/8.
Hey, I can be 7/8. I can wear 7/8. I was riding my motorcycle the other day, and I was on the interstate, and my hat, it was loose, and I felt it like getting ready to come off, and I was like, all right, I got to get to the Skyway, you know, and if I can make that stop, I'll take a half and tighten it, and I didn't get there, and it kind of flew off. One of my favorite hats too.
Oh, and when I'm wearing a snapback, anytime I'm on a boat or anything, a convertible or whatever, I got to snap it at least one tighter. Or a windy day if I'm out there on a job site working. And
well, I had a do-rag on, and this is me. Like my hat flew off, and I was like, I look like a black Jew riding a motorcycle.
So is that black motorcycle in your video? Is that yours?
Oh yeah,
in the social media video.
Yeah,
what is that?
That's a sweet. That's a sweet bike.
That's a Harley Street Glide. Yeah, that's Rosa.
Your baby.
Yeah, that's Rosa.
That thing's sick.
Rosa.
That thing is
That's a beautiful bike.
Yeah. I worked hard for that, and
that's nice.
I love it. Yeah, it's funny because I had a lot of people that were like, thought I did wear a helmet. I did wear a helmet. It's like I wore the cowboy hat for the photo shoot.
Right.
Yeah, you're just barking
and there's another video where I'm riding and I'm singing but no helmet on. So I got scolded for that. But I was like, I promise you, there was a helmet for the ride home. I swear to you, there was.
You know what's funny is in one of my videos, I forget which one of my videos it was, but I was in a Walmart parking lot just with my phone and the clip thing because I could film my part anywhere. It's the weird part is the clip that I spliced with or whatever. But I wasn't wearing a seatbelt in one of my clips, and like. The video was probably from a few months ago. Oh, it was the one with the guy on the motorcycle with rollerblades on.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so I would just film in my side of it where I just look over and see this guy with rollerblades, and obviously he's not there. I'm just at Walmart waiting for whatever. And And then my mom somehow came across this video months later, and
man.
she's like, hey, just saw your video. Make sure you wear your seatbelt. Thanks, or something like that. And I'm just kind of like, what video? Because like she's new to like Instagram and all that, so she must have just been scrolling through, and stuff just shows up randomly on the feed.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what video she was talking about. And I was like, I always do, because I've been lectured in the comments for everything I do wrong. I mean, I got 182,000 followers. So if there's one thing that's not accurate or
somebody will call
unsafe
you out.
or anything in the video, boy, do I hear about it. And it's like, so I was like, what video is she talking about?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm still mom, just making
Yeah.
sure that you wear your
Yeah.
seatbelt. And I'm like, yeah, I was just in a Walmart parking lot, mom.
It
I
is a
promise.
beautiful bike you got. Just be careful around here. You know,
It
damn
took-
old people.
yeah, it
traffic.
took- It took one. I went up to see my kids for lunch one time. We celebrated my kids being on the honor roll at school, and so we did a Sunday lunch. And took one time, I rode up there on the bike without a helmet, and my 8-year-old called me out. And I was like, all right, yeah, you're right. He's like, Dad, why aren't you wearing a helmet? And I was like, cuz. He's like, you should wear a helmet. I was like, you're right, buddy, I should.
You're
So,
trying to be
Smart
cool.
kid.
Yeah.
It's a.
Like, I'm cool.
I get it. It's addictive. It's free, and you
Yeah.
can win on your
Oh,
hair
yeah.
and all that stuff. But
I
it's
I would prefer that, but I also prefer being live.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
yeah.
you kind of got to find that balance, because
Yeah.
like I do like that free feeling of just being out
Yeah.
there like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta think about, especially having kids.
Yeah.
You know, my whole idea of what's safe and unsafe is drastically shifted after having kids.
Yep.
So around here, when you want to just go out and ride by yourself, where do you go? You go out east?
I go out east, or so when I ride it, it's mainly on Sundays. So when I ride it, it's either out east or I go up to the beach, like to the tippy top on a Sunday, because there's nobody on the road on a Sunday. Usually around like 4 or 5,
Yeah.
because they're all eating dinner,
Home,
early
getting
on
ready for
Sunday.
work days next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's mainly where I take it. I try to go where there's less people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
for sure.
That's getting
It's
harder and harder
I
to
was gonna
find
say,
around
it's hard to
here.
find
It's-
now. You gotta go
you
10
just-
miles.
Just pushing through town to get out east in the
Yep.
country away from people, it's still a chore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But once you get out there, it's nice. Put it on cruise control, and you're just like, finally.
Yeah.
when I moved out to the farm with my wife, and we got dirt bikes, was the first time I learned how to like ride a bike. Like my brothers had motorcycles, but I never got into it. And so once I learned how to ride a dirt bike, holy moly, I was like, man, if I did this younger, I would have a motorcycle, and I probably would have been very dangerous on it, because I just open throttle, like I don't even know how fast I'm going. But I'm like, on the farm, so there's like nothing there. I'm not worried about people. But it took one time where I was going not super fast, where one of the bearings locked up in the wheels. Luckily it was the back wheel, so I didn't flip over the bike. The back wheel just locked up, and I slid, and I got off, and I was like, oh, that's why you wear a helmet, because the bike could, like, it's not just people. It's like
Yeah.
the bike could malfunction too, and you go, yeah.
Did I ever tell you about the time I rode a 3-wheeler and I ran into a boat, and basically 50 acres, I ran into a boat.
Out of the 50 acres,
Yeah.
Was the boat moving?
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. I was like, wow, it came out of nowhere.
Did the boat hit you?
Yeah, the boat hit
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
rough.
yeah,
Dude, I've sent myself off the dirt bike twice. Yeah,
Really?
just like turning, hit a tree, boom, and I just flew off, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Were you
this happened
impressing?
so
Were
fast.
you trying to impress?
No, I was already married. I didn't have to
Okay.
impress anybody.
See, I was trying to impress a girl.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's where it
Yeah.
hit. And you're doing 2 wheels, and then you're like, boom.
Yeah, I'm doing 3 wheels.
Well, I know, but on the 3-wheeler, it's easier to do 2 wheels. You just
Oh
pop
yeah,
up.
like it popped, and I was like,
no.
I didn't know what I was doing, and it popped, and I did a wheelie, and I was like, all right, cool, I played that off. But I'm like going, and I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. I'm like 18, and I'm driving, and I see this boat, and I'm like, wow, I got to stop. And I forgot how to stop. So I'm going, and I'm like, if I put my legs down, Flintstone style, maybe it'll stop.
Oh jeez. On a
Well, it did. So my
3-wheeler.
legs were off, and the back tires they literally rubbed the skin off the back of my legs.
I've done that.
And then I looked up, I'm like, oh, the boat is all closer. So I hit the boat, steering wheels went into my side.
Oof.
And I remember walking back up, and she was my girlfriend at the time, and her dad's like, out of all the things, you have 50 acres. You decide to hit my blanking boat. And I was like, yes, sir. So I wore jeans for the longest time because I didn't want my parents to find out.
Yeah.
That hurt. But yeah, that's my famous three-wheeler story.
I had a similar thing happen, but on a mountain bike, because when I was a kid, I had the back brake where you kick backwards when you're pedaling. Yeah. And my dad was like, cars were family members to him. It wasn't like just like a regular car relationship. It's like they're part of the family. And I remember my buddy got this bike. It was a 26-inch like mountain bike, 21 speed, whatever. And it had the hand brakes, which I've never used before. So I remember I got going fast, and I remember it had like, I was able to go real fast because it had the gears and I was upshifting and all that. And I'm like, this is awesome. So then I was coming up on my house and I didn't know how to stop. So like I'm pedaling backwards, and I had a whole road. I had a whole road ahead of me, but I saw my house. And when I was a kid, when I got scared, my default was to go home.
Oh yeah.
So like even though I could have just coasted past my house safely and just rolled to a stop, I was scared. And I remember I saw my house and went to turn in the driveway and ended up skidding up the side of my dad's car, smashing the mirror off and cutting my hand on the mirror. But I remember looking back on it, I'm like, I had an entire road. I could have just, I don't know how to stop it. I just could have just coasted safely, but I'm like, mommy, and like went to swerve to the house.
My daughter did that when I was first teaching her how to ride her bike. We finally got her training wheels off, and she was riding down the road. And I'm like, yeah, go down there and come back. The neighbor across the street had just bought a nice new RV, and she smacked right into that thing. And he was very cool about it. He was like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm like, I'm really sorry. You know, she didn't mean to do it. She just kind of locked up and turned too sharp. You know, a kid this small, kind of get intimidated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the one thing on the road, you hit the biggest item. There's nothing else down the road but this. And bless her heart, she smacked right into it, and she was crying. And she was crying because again, the handlebars went into her. And she was just overwhelmed by what had happened. But yeah, I know that feeling. It's like, what do I do in the moment? You kind of seize up.
Yeah.
What do I do to stop this?
My default was like home equals safe. Turn. It didn't matter how fast I was going. And I just went boom right in the side of this car. And because of the fact that I smacked into the rearview mirror with my hand and was bleeding, I think that got me a free pass on that particular one. Because if I would have just grinded up the side of his car and I would have been fine, I think he would have made it not fine. Yeah. But I think I got a pass because I blooded up pretty good or whatever. But and I could definitely relate to the tires on the back of I had a Yamaha Blaster 2-stroke 4-wheeler, and I took the little Nerf bars off and I just had the pegs because I wanted to be cool and like the stunt riders and all that stuff you see in the at the time VHS tapes or ESPN or whatever. Yeah. And everybody like FMX and like quad freestyle was like just becoming like a major thing. And I rode dirt bikes, but quads were my favorite thing. So I posted some pictures on my Instagram of me stunting on my Blaster, like doing wheelies and standing up on the back bar. And
we're throwing it up
like
right
that.
Now.
I'll throw it on the screen right now so you can see some of my old stunting photos. And I was like 5'5" and like little chubby kid or whatever. It was before I had my growth spurt, and so it's like I looked like little bitty with my big helmet on, but I was out there trying to stunt. And same thing, there was this girl down the road I'd try to show off for, and I'd come around the corner and try to slide and do cool stuff. And never had any major spills, but I had a couple times where I'd get caught and I'd almost fall off, and then she'd be watching, and I just ride away like it didn't happen. And
So the funny thing is I can barely grow hair on the back of my legs now. And what's even weirder is, so that happened. I had that accident, and then back in the day, remember we could strip wire and go, and so I was doing that, but I was burning the plastic off. And I didn't realize, I didn't pay attention in school and science, but gasoline eats through styrofoam.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I had a little bit of gasoline in a styrofoam cup that I was trying to get the fire to, I didn't realize it was leaking all the way. So I did it, and the fire came back. My leg caught on fire. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's like a sticky.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes.
Like it came up and like started burning my shoe and burned a little bit on my leg, and I was like, so now I can't grow hair on the back of my leg. So I'm waiting for my disabled permit to come.
Yeah,
because
well, so then you buy a Corvette and you can park wherever you want.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You mentioned trying to entertain, show off in front of women and stuff, girls and stuff. So I remember a quick story. My youngest, he had gotten hurt one time, and I used to get hurt a lot. And I remember I was laying in bed with him. He'd bust his head. And I was laying down with him. He was like, I'm always getting hurt. I don't understand. He was like 5 then. And I just started showing. I was like, hey, buddy, I got hurt all the time too. It's okay. And I was like, I started basically quoting Chris Cagle's "Chicks Dig It" song. I was like, "The chicks dig it, man. There's scars heal, glory fades, all that stuff." And then I could tell I was like, "Crap." He was like, "But chickens?" And I was like, No. It's not chickens. Like chicks. They're girls. Then I was like, we got in this weird thing he wasn't understanding. I was like, no, chicks are girls, but chicks can also be chickens, but chickens lay eggs, but girls don't lay. And I just rolled over and acted like I fell asleep, and that was the end of the conversation.
Why don't you tell us about the frog duck argument you had?
Oh, the frog duck, yeah. So, in Florida in the spring when it rains, we have the Cuban tree frogs. And in the evening you'll hear their croak or whatever. And I was laying there with my oldest son, and he's like, "Those sound like ducks." I'm like, "No, bud, they're frogs. They're frogs." We go back and forth, and I'm not going to argue with a child, but I was tired. I did not want to do like a National Geographic. This is what it is: a Cuban tree frog. Blah blah blah. It was Sunday night. It's tired. Go to bed. So. I'm like, okay, buddy, that's fine. You win. And there was like 5 minutes of awkward silence. It seemed like it. It was probably like 5 seconds. It seemed like 5 minutes. And I thought, okay, Victory's going to bed. And he just all of a sudden goes like, "It's kind of like they're frucks." And I'm like, wait, what? Now I'm wide awake. I'm like, we have to have a conversation. This kid goes, "Okay, good night." And I'm like, no, we have to have a conversation. You dropped the R.
Yeah.
How does at that time a 6-year-old come up with a fruck?
Yeah. I don't know. That's clever.
A fruck. I'm like, dude. And then
Blake's gonna start dropping. What the fruck is going on in here? Watch him.
So the whole night I was wide awake because I was tired. It was Sunday. I did church and everything, and I was wide awake. I'm like, this little kid. He passes out in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I texted these guys last night. It was a little bit, thunder and raining outside, and my little 5.5-year-old, she's kind of going through that phase where she's having bad dreams, and she's like kind of like nervous about, going to sleep alone and all that. She's come in our room a few times, woke up like, "I'm scared, I can't sleep," whatever. So I had this long talk with her about like angels and protection and all this kind of stuff, and anything bad that happens, the angels will take their swords and they'll battle them all away or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing. Then she kind of gets to the point where she's about to fall asleep, and then, I go to walk out of the room, and I get in a glass of water or whatever, and she pops back on the corner. She's like, "Daddy," I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Is thunder just angels farting?" And I'm like, same thing. I wanted to go into like, because I try to like, I'm not just one of those like because I said so dads. Like whenever my kid asks a question, I want to explain like this is what happened. So it's like it's late, so I'm like I wanted to go into like, well, actually when lightning strikes and it actually creates like an explosion, and I'm like, you know what? Yes, that's what it is. Go to bed. Yep, that's what angels farting. That's what it is. Good night. And it was like naturally I wanted to go into explaining it, but I was like, it's late. Nope, we're not doing that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh, that's funny.
Then I had images of like what would a duck and a frog look like?
Yeah, what parts? They're very unique looking. yeah. Let's see if you can find that while we're talking. Like, would it take the bill, or would it be more of like would it have feathers, or would it be more of a reptile or amphibian or whatever? And like, that's a good question.
Yeah, and then what kind of duck?
Yeah.
I pictured the Geico or
we got the
Aflac.
The Aflac duck?
I kind of pictured the Aflac one, but we got a lot of options.
Isn't that funny how kids have that crazy imagination at that age?
Yeah.
So innocent, and you're just like,
I'm sorry.
They exist.
What is this?
What is that? He was right the whole time.
Oh my god.
So frucks exist.
So frucks exist.
Oh
Are they the distant? Are they the distant cousin of the platypus?
I gotta love Photoshop.
I think we need to start a whole new podcast with just combining animals. And
Oh, look at this one.
let's start from the beginning. Let's start from scratch.
Man.
This episode is actually going to be us Googling funny animals.
Now I'm gonna have to be like, hey, buddy, you know what? You're right.
You were right. They
You
do
were right.
exist.
They do exist.
They are a native Floridian. Actually, that would make sense to be a native Florida species when you think about it.
It would be only in Florida.
Yeah.
That's freaking funny, dude.
Man, that is funny.
It's a
That's
fact.
good.
Oh gosh.
Have you ever seen it when people give animals like names based on what they look like?
Oh, that's funny. You sent us that
Like an
video.
ostrich was like a pantless thunder goose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like different things like that.
Yeah.
Some are real.
Yeah.
I got into that for a while one day.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Thunder goose.
So you got a pretty full schedule there. I see in July. Do you play like outside of Central Florida and anywhere else that you got?
Yeah. So July was a full schedule. There were even some pop-up shows in there too that I didn't even post. So I'm more so I'm down here, and then I go as far as Clearwater.
Holy crap!
Even the computers, it's in the computer's head.
Yeah.
Blake, you just wanted to hear it again.
How much did you have to pay them to put that on here? It just showed up.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much from I go all the way up to Clearwater.
Yeah.
And right now we're looking at doing some college bar era. We're calling it the college bar era. So I've had some college bars in Gainesville and Tallahassee reach out.
Oh, cool.
Want to do some stuff in the fall.
Nice.
So I'm basically this fall going to just be doing college bars for football season.
Nice.
So yeah, super excited about that.
That's pretty
I'm
awesome.
hoping. So we're wanting to go Florida into Georgia, Tennessee, and just make connections with college bars and play college bars. So
And you're single.
Well, I am talking to somebody, but we're going to keep that.
Okay, cool.
It's fresh
Going
and
to
new. It's fresh and new.
That's great.
So
That's great. Well, good for you.
yeah,
Just making sure.
yeah.
We were gonna plug. You have a single, and you're single.
Yeah,
It doesn't work now.
And I'll be playing all the college bars.
Yeah.
So rumor has it, and I may have started some of these rumors, that you're going to actually play your song for us.
I'm still waiting on payment, but
Oh yeah.
We'll work something out.
Well, you take Venmo.
Yeah,
Zelle.
Bitcoin. Actually.
Oh, let's go.
Bitcoin, yeah.
I could do
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can do yard work.
One
things like
Bitcoin.
that. Manual labor is more of my thing.
If you
One
clean
bit-
my house in a French maid dress, then maybe we'll talk.
I can give you points.
Deal. Done deal. All right. All right. So you got your guitar here. You want to tell us a little bit about the song that you're going to play for us?
So the best way I can describe it is the song is called "It Does," and for me, I'm not really the smartest guy. I'm kind of dumb. I just, I'm not really the smartest guy, but I see this as sometimes when my kids ask me questions or when our kids ask us questions, we're just like, I don't know, it just does. I have no idea. So this is just a song about, I know things happen. I don't know why they happen. I just know they do. Sometimes it's just the best answer you can come up with. So that's basically what the song is about.
Got you. Okay.
You guys are getting the world premiere in person.
This is
I
cool.
know.
Yeah.
Wait. Is this the first time you're playing the song live? On the FloBro
There we go.
podcast. Do you know why our podcast is the best podcast in Florida and international in the entire world? Because Jesse Daniels is on the FloBro podcast. Let's go.
All right.
Woo!
Let's do it again.
It does.
I know rain makes a cornfield grow. I know music comes out on my radio. I don't know how it works, man, I know it does. I know jumbo jets fly high in the sky, big old boats float easy as pie. I don't know how it works, man, I know it does. Now I can't explain so many things that some of the smart guys do. Their education, books and equations, I like to ask them a thing or two. How the two out of the millions on earth find each other what they deserve. I really don't know how all of it works. Yeah, it does. Now I can't explain so many things that some of the smart guys do. Their education, books and equations, I like to ask them a thing or two. How a prayer, when it's all you've got, can move the heart and hand of God. Don't know how it works, give it a shot. Yeah, it does. Whoa, yeah, it does. Now I can't explain so many things some of the smart guys do. Their education, books and equations. I'd like to ask them a thing or two. Yeah, it does. Whoa, yeah, it does.
Wow, that was
Man,
fantastic.
that was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, round
too
of
bad.
applause for that one.
Not too bad.
Encore.
Proud of you on that one, man. That
Yeah.
was great.
The crazy thing is,
Awesome.
I'd lost my voice this morning when I woke up. So
Does that happen often? With as often as you play, like how do you manage that?
Yeah.
So I'm not the best, and but I do have no other professionals. I just need to get better at. I wasn't trained how to sing. I do know some tips, but I wasn't professionally taught how to sing. But I know some people who are, and that give me tips.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just some stuff I need to do to take better care of my voice. But it only happens. I've sang 4 days in a row, and that's when. And plus, I help out Sunday morning at my church, so that's when it's really bad. But I don't know why. I woke up this morning, and I did a show. I came home and put food in a crock pot, and then went out downtown. Saw a buddy of mine sing loud music, and I had to talk over the music because I didn't want to stay home. Because if I did, I was going to fall asleep. I wasn't going to listen to my alarm. I was going to burn my food, probably burn my house down. So I went out just so I could pass the time.
Yeah.
And then it was probably because I talked over the loud
Yep.
music and stuff. But
That happens
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
I mean, your voice projected very well, even with the mic being that far away. It was coming in loud and clear through the headphones. I was like, wow, like
Yeah,
he
that
doesn't even
sounded
need a microphone.
I've always had a very
It's projecting.
Projective
Yeah,
voice.
that's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that adds a lot to it. You know, with your style and your personality, and your guitar playing is great. Also, I mean, you
thank you.
were
I
right
appreciate
on
that.
it, man. I'm a guitar player myself, so I was sitting there watching the chords, and I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do that. There's no way. I've been playing guitar for 20 years. There's no way. You did a very good job, man.
Thank
I'm proud
I
of you
appreciate
on that one.
I appreciate
And the
that.
best part is there was no auto tune. We're just sitting here in a
Yeah,
studio.
it was so raw and
with the
it's
voice
great.
it's at like 75% too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the real deal. That's not
Yeah.
just some computer
Yeah.
generated,
No, real deal.
mass produced
Real deal right here.
songwriter, singer.
Yeah.
That's the real deal.
That's amazing. Where can people find that song?
So you can on Spotify, basically anything, all the platforms.
All the streaming
All the
platforms.
streaming platforms. Yeah.
Okay. They can
Yeah.
buy it on Apple Music.
Apple Music, all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We'll have all the links in the description in the video. And on the podcast, we'll have your website and everything. Check you out.
All my
We'll have
socials.
all the socials.
All the socials.
And my favorite part
all
is
the
I actually got to hear more of the song than just the first little bit that
Yeah,
I've been walking around the house singing that first line for days, and it's just finally it's good to hear the whole
Yeah,
thing. It all
yeah.
comes together really well,
Yeah.
and now I got more to sing.
There you go. There you go.
Well, I gotta say I'm proud of you. You've seemed to make quite a good name for yourself. You've stuck with it. You followed your passion. You made it quite a far distance in the amount of time and effort you put into it. And I see a lot of success in your future just based off of the interview today and from the song that I've seen in your social media and you as a person. You seem very raw and passionate about success and being true, and you have the roots in the background. And the personality to back it. It's great.
Yeah, I never want to forget where I came from.
There you go.
So, and I just following my dreams. I've sold out. So I'm a full time doing it.
Yeah.
And I've learned following your dreams is a big thing. It's scary, but the one thing I will say is never follow your dreams alone. Find people who believe in you. Sometimes even when then you believe in yourself. And that I'm surrounded by a great team.
Yeah.
People who believe in me. Sometimes when I believe in myself, that hype me up and.
And shout out to your band. Your band plays has a big contribution.
Yeah. Boys are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the reason I sound really good.
Yeah, I mean, on your own, I could see you do it on your own, but you add a group of guys behind you.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I'm gonna go out and see it now next time he's out and around.
Yeah, for sure.
Downtown.
Oh, yeah.
I think the coolest thing too is after knowing you for all these years, as we've gotten older, you're still the same person that I've always known, and you haven't changed, and you haven't got this big head like some people get and all that. And it's just cool to see that you're still grounded and you're still the same guy that I've known, and I'm sure Blake can attest for that too. He's known you for a long time.
It's even funny because I have a girl that does all my social media, and she does the videos, and sometimes they say I'm really humble. But it's like sometimes I cringe when I see the videos. They're great videos. She does a great job. But just who I am, I'm like, wow, that's really me up there. Wow, that's crazy.
My biggest thing was when I heard my own voice in recordings. I hated the way my voice sounded when I did videos and stuff. So that was the hardest thing for me to get over. Was like, I sound weird. And
I hate my voice too. Most people do.
A lot of people do.
Same thing for me too. I cringe when I hear myself sing, but I have to get over it.
Yeah.
Because what I hear what other people hear.
Yeah, I guarantee that because it sounded great.
You have a powerful voice, and if I didn't know that you sang at all, just from just the way you talked, I wouldn't have known that you actually had vocals and pipes like that. So I was quite. I mean, I obviously heard your music before you came today, but I was like, wow, this is very powerful live. This is a lot coming out of you, and you can feel it. And I don't think there's anything to cringe about. I could see how there's that little bit of personal self-doubt. You're like, man, that's really me. But yeah, it is really you, and you've got something there. I can hear it. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, wow, like, it's awesome, man. I mean, you really got something unique, and I wish you the best. And I really appreciate you coming today and sharing your story. And
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir.
This has been fun. It's been really
awesome.
fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Everybody go check out Jesse Daniels on all his social medias and go buy his new single, It Does.
It does.
We out. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Peace.
This episode of the FloBro Show is brought to you by FLOrigins, Florida's most authentic lifestyle brand. Celebrate the rich culture and vibrant spirit of Florida with FLOrigins high-quality apparel, handcrafted art, and unique accessories. Visit FLOrigins.com and use code FLOBRO, FLOBRO, for an exclusive discount. You can find links to the FLOrigins gear we're wearing and the art on our studio wall in the description box below.
Yo, this is a cool table. You know why? Look, pan over this way. Because Jesse's at our table.